Namaste, my dear beloved SSLC students and all the viewers. I welcome you all for today's Samveda e-learning program class. Dear students, today we are going to discuss mainly about transportation in animals. So last class, what are the things we have studied? Let us just recall. Last class we discussed respiration, types of respiration, pathways of glucose breakdown, respiration in plants, and also we have discussed detailed account of human respiratory system. Students, today in this fourth session, we are going to mainly discuss about transportation. Let us see what are the main points we are going to discuss in this particular session. Transportation, transportation in human beings, types of blood vessels, human heart, blood and lymph, and also blood circulation in heart. These are the main points what we are going to discuss in this particular session. Observe this picture, students. What are you observing? Yes. Yeah, these are the different transport system which we use in our day-to-day life. Aeroplane, trucks, train, ships, buses, etc. Students, in a common language, transport means carrying the things one place to another place, or it's an easy movement of carrying the goods as well as human beings from one place to another place, and that is called as transportation. Of course, in biological term, this transportation has different meaning. All living organisms are made up of cells. You know that unicellular organism made up of a single cell, whereas multicellular organisms made up of millions of cells. For the maintenance of life and for the repair, all these cells require essential substances, and these essential substances has to be transported to all these cells. For this, multicellular organisms possess well-developed transport system, and transportation is also an essential life process in living organisms. One question for you. Students, what do you mean by transportation? Yes, you are right. Transportation is a life process where the substances synthesized or absorbed in one part of the body are carried to the other parts of the body. Next, let us discuss transportation in different organisms. Transportation in unicellular organisms commonly taking place through a simple diffusion process. We have studied that unicellular organism is very smaller in size and entire surface of the body is in contact with the environment. So, in unicellular organism, simple diffusion process is enough for the intake of food, water, oxygen, as well as removal of the waste material. Students, one question for you. What is cyclosis? Yes, you are right. In unicellular organisms, nutrients are distributed in the cytoplasm due to the streaming movements of cytoplasm, and it is called as cyclosis. Next, let us discuss transportation in multicellular organisms. Students, plants and animals have well-developed transport system to carry useful substance to every cell of the body and for the removal of waste material produced by the body. In animals, the transportation system is called as circulatory system. Students, in plants, transportation mainly takes place through conducting tissue, xylem and phloem, and it is collectively called as vascular bundles. Next, let us discuss transportation in human beings. The main transport system in human beings is the circulatory system, and this circulatory system comprises four main organs that have specific roles and function. What are the four main organs that is present in human beings? Yes, you are right. The vital circulatory system organs includes heart, blood, which is technically a tissue, not an organ, blood vessels, and lymphatic system. So our circulatory system mainly consists of heart, blood vessels and lymphatic system. Students, heart is the main pumping organ in our circulatory system. Blood carries the substances like oxygen, hormones, etc. from one part of the body to other parts of the body. And blood vessels are tube-like structures through which blood flows. And lymphatic system mainly consists of fluid called lymph, which flows through lymphatic capillaries, which also plays very essential role in the transportation. Now let us study the structure of heart. Students, observe this diagram. Human heart, it's a muscular organ, mainly consists of 4 chambers. Where this heart located? Of course, our heart is located in the chest cavity, right between the lungs. It is positioned slightly towards the left in the thoracic region and it is enveloped by pericardium. Size of the heart is as big as our clenched fist. And our heart comprises mainly 4 chambers. Upper chambers are called as atria and lower chambers are called as ventricles. And these chambers are separated by a wall called septum or partition. You can observe in this picture. Our heart is an roughly triangular shaped organ. You can observe this small video clip. Okay, all of you have seen that video clip, right? Okay, the speciality of human heart is that here oxygenated blood does not mix with the deoxygenated blood. Okay, one small question for you students. What about the number of chambers of heart in other animals? Just recall what you have studied in your last class. Number of chambers of heart present in other animals varies. For example, fishes. Can you tell me how many chambers of heart present in fishes? Yes, you are right. In fishes, 2-chambered heart is present. What about amphibians? Yes, you are right. In amphibians, 3-chambered heart present. In reptiles? Yes, you are right. In reptiles also, 3-chambered heart present. In birds, 4-chambered heart present. In birds and in mammals, 4-chambered heart is present and they are warm-blooded animals. Amphibians and reptiles possesses 3-chambered heart and they are cold-blooded animals. The second important part in our circulatory system is blood. Blood is a fluid connective tissue. The main components of blood is the liquid part, nothing but a matrix called plasma, and also blood contains a different types of cells. And what are the different types of cells present in our blood? Yes, you are right. Platelets, red blood cells, white blood cells. These platelets are also called as thrombocytes, red blood cells called as erythrocytes, white blood cells also known as leukocytes. So these are the main different types of cells present in our blood. And of course, each cells play a specific role. Let us see a small video clip in which we can see the transportation taking place through blood. All of you have seen that video clip? Okay, students. Now let us discuss each component of the blood and its importance. First one, plasma. It is a liquid matrix present in blood and it is pale yellow in color, and plasma mainly transports food, carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste in its dissolved form. Red blood corpuscles are red in color because of the presence of a pigment called hemoglobin, which helps in the transportation of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Next is white blood corpuscles, which helps in protection by destroying disease causing microorganisms. Platelets, they helps in the clotting of blood. Remember, white blood corpuscles are called as soldiers in our body. Students, remember, red blood corpuscles does not possess any nucleus. It is devoid of nucleus. Next, let us discuss the third important part of our circulatory system, that is blood vessels. The blood in our body moves through tube-like structures called blood vessels, and these blood vessels can be classified mainly into three types. First one is arteries, second one is veins, and third one is capillaries. Now let us discuss each type and its function. First one, arteries. Arteries helps in the transport of oxygenated blood from heart to different parts of the body. Only the exception is pulmonary artery, which carries deoxygenated blood. And remember one more thing, these arteries possess a very thick elastic wall, and walls are absent in arteries. Arteries divide into a small network of blood vessels called capillaries. And students, remember, arteries possesses very thick elastic wall, mainly to withstand high blood pressure. When the ventricles pumps the blood, blood enters the arteries with the high pressure. To withstand that high pressure, arteries possesses very thick elastic wall. And remember, arteries carries the blood away from the heart. Remember the hint, A for away. Okay. Next type of blood vessels are veins. These veins helps in the transport of deoxygenated blood from different parts of the body back to the heart. Only exception is pulmonary vein that carries oxygenated blood, which brings oxygenated blood from lungs to the heart. And these veins possesses very thin wall, and walls are present in veins. Remember this, walls are present in the vein. Arteries are deeply seated, whereas veins are superficial. You can see below the skin, you can see some tube-like structure. These are nothing but veins. Now let us discuss about the third type of blood vessel, that is capillaries. These capillaries are the smallest vessels, have walls which are 1 cell thick, and these capillaries connect arteries to veins, and arteries helps in the exchange of various materials between the blood and body cells. Students, now let us discuss the circulation in human heart. This heart mainly consists of 4 chambers. Upper chambers are called atria and lower chambers are called as ventricles. Now let us discuss the blood circulation in heart. Students, you can see here pulmonary vein. This pulmonary veins brings the oxygenated blood and pour this oxygenated blood to left atria. When this left atrium contracts, the blood pours into left ventricles. Now, these left ventricles pump the blood, or they will contract. So, when they will contract, blood with the high pressure enters the largest artery, aorta. Aorta carries this oxygenated blood and transport it to the various cells of our body. Now there is an exchange takes place between the cells and the blood. Cells take up the oxygen and gives back carbon dioxide and other waste materials to the blood. Now this deoxygenated blood, which is rich in carbon dioxide, comes back to the heart. How they will transport it back to the heart? Of course, you can observe here, that is superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Remember students, superior vena cava brings the deoxygenated blood from upper part of the body, and inferior vena cava brings the deoxygenated blood from lower part of the body. Now right atria relaxes because it receives the deoxygenated blood, and when this right atria contracts, blood pours into right ventricle, and when the right ventricle contracts, blood with the high pressure enters pulmonary artery. Remember, arteries carries usually oxygenated blood, but I told you only the exception is pulmonary artery, which carries deoxygenated blood, and this pulmonary artery carries this deoxygenated blood to the lungs, where there is an exchange of gases takes place. Again blood gets oxygenated, again pulmonary veins brings the oxygenated blood from lungs back to the heart, and this cycle repeats. And remember, if you observe these structures students, the walls of ventricles are thicker than the walls of atria. What is the reason for this? Of course, ventricles has to pump the blood to different organs and different parts of our body. Observe this video clip students. All of you have seen that video clip. Okay. Now again, let us summarize the circulation of blood in our heart. You can observe here, deoxygenated blood from different parts of the body brought by superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, and it is received by right atrium. When it receives the blood, it relaxed. Next, right atrium contracts, the blood pours into right ventricles, and now the right ventricles are relaxed, and when the right ventricles contracts, blood with the high pressure enters pulmonary artery and goes into the lungs, where again it gets oxygenated blood from the lungs transported back to the heart by pulmonary vein. Remember, pulmonary vein is the only vein that carries oxygenated blood. Now the left atrium relaxed, and when the left atrium contracts, blood pours into left ventricles, and when the left ventricles contracts, blood with the high pressure enters aorta and distributed all body parts. Walls are present in veins. What is the function of these walls? Of course, you are right. These walls allows the blood to flow in one direction. It prevents the backflow of the blood. Next, let us discuss double circulation. What do you mean by double circulation? Students, you are right. Blood goes through the heart twice during each cycle in the body, and it is known as double circulation. And remember, In fishes, the type of circulation is monocirculation because it possesses only two chambered heart. But we human beings possesses four chambered heart. These chambers are separated by septum so that there is no mixing of blood takes place. Next, let us study the types of circulation. Students, there are mainly two types of circulation taking place. First one is systemic circulation and second one is pulmonary circulation. Systemic circulation and second one is pulmonary circulation. In systemic circulation, there is a movement of blood between heart and the body parts. Remember, the movement of blood between the heart and the body parts is called as systemic circulation. Whereas in case of pulmonary circulation, the movement of the blood takes place between the heart and lungs. Remember, in pulmonary circulation, blood travels only for a short distance from heart to the lungs, again from lungs back to the heart. Whereas in case of systemic circulation, blood travels for a longer distance because blood has to supplied to the various parts of our body. Students, what do you mean by heartbeat and pulse? One complete contraction and relaxation of heart is called as heartbeat. Our heart beats about 70 to 72 times per minute. And of course, when you do some physical exercise, when you run, of course, this heartbeat rate increases. And the expansion of an artery, each time the blood is forced into it, is called as pulse. Remember, the expansion of an artery, each time the blood is forced into it, is called as pulse. Can you tell me which instruments doctors use to measure this heartbeat? A doctor uses an instrument called stethoscope to listen to your heartbeat. The number of beats per minute is called as pulse rate. So, pulse rate is also 70 to 72 times per minute. You are all familiar with this instrument, right, students? What do you mean by blood pressure? The force that blood exerts against the wall of a vessel is called blood pressure. This pressure is much greater in arteries than in veins. Students, can you name the instrument which is used to measure the blood pressure? Yes, you are right. The blood pressure is measured with an instrument called sphygmomanometer, which is commonly used by the doctors. The pressure of blood inside the artery during ventricular systole is called systolic pressure, and the pressure in artery during ventricular diastole is called diastolic pressure. And normal systolic pressure is about 120 millimeter of mercury and diastolic pressure is 80 millimeter of mercury. Commonly, the blood pressure in a healthy man is 120 by 80. Sometimes, if our blood pressure is very high, it is called as hypertension. This occurs mainly because of the constriction of arterioles. When there is a constriction of arterioles, blood does not flow easily in the arteries. There is a restriction during blood flow that may lead to rupture of the arteries, even sometimes internal bleeding. One more question for you. What is the importance of four-chambered heart? Yes, you are right. Four-chambered heart prevents mixing of oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood, and such separation allows a highly efficient supply of oxygen to the body. This liberates large amount of energy which is used by higher animals like birds and mammals, which constantly use this energy to maintain their body temperature. Next, one more very important part of our circulatory system is in lymph. This lymph is a colorless fluid which is present in intercellular spaces. And remember, this lymph always flows through small capillaries called lymphatic system. And it is similar to plasma of blood but colorless and contains less protein. Why lymph is colorless? Of course, you are right. It does not contain RBC. Red blood corpuscles are absent in lymph. You can observe the lymph vessels in our finger. Next, let us study important functions of lymph. Students, lymph carries digested and absorbed fat from intestine. Also, it drains excess fluid from extracellular space back into the blood. It also provides immunity through a special type of WBC called lymphocytes. So, these are the important functions of lymph. Students, till now we discussed transport system in animals. Are you ready to answer few multiple choice questions? A blood vessel which carries deoxygenated blood back to the heart is, options are artery, capillary, vein and platelet. Which is the right answer? Yes, you are correct, students. Veins that carry deoxygenated blood back to the heart. Next question. Blood is pumped from the heart to the entire body by, options are lungs, nerves, atria and ventricles. Which is the correct option? Yes, you are right. Ventricles pump the blood from the heart to the entire body parts. Next, which blood vessel does not carry any carbon dioxide? Options are pulmonary artery, vena cava, hepatic vein, D, pulmonary vein. Which is the correct answer, student? Yes, you are right. Pulmonary vein. Correct answer. Now I am going to give you assignment which you have to do in your home. First question, differentiate between arteries and veins. Second question, is there any connection with four-chambered heart and warm blood in birds and mammals? Next question, why is the walls of ventricles thicker than the walls of atria? Fourth question, what is lymph? State any two major functions of lymph. Students, till now we discussed about human heart and our circulatory system. In the next session, we are going to discuss transportation in plant. Also, we are going to discuss very essential life process, that is excretion, excretory system of human beings as well as excretory system of plants. Thank you, students.